Welcome everybody to the Finance Road Trip Podcast Part 2, the Black Wall Street Tour, also known as the Digital Financial Revolution Tour, where I take you on my journey to 22 cities with cryptocurrency exchange owner Najah Roberts with the goal to close the wealth gap through group economics and financial literacy and a focus on Bitcoin, which we believe to be the evolution of money. Najah Roberts and Hill Harper partnered to create the Black Wall Street Wallet, where you can buy, sell, and send your Bitcoin to your cold wallet. Make sure to follow me on all major platforms at CJ the Smart Guy and check out thedfrtour.com for more information on 2022 tour. Thank you. Welcome back everybody to the Finance Road Trip Podcast. I'm your host, CJ the Smart Guy, and this episode is entitled Shoutouts to the Homies. It's dedicated to my friend Jeremie Carpenter, who passed away. I got the news when I was in Mound Bayou during the tour, and so I was like, you know what, while people are still alive, let me go ahead and give them their flowers so that they know that they got love from me, and just give them those types of shout outs and give them that honor and that respect while they're still here. So shout outs to the homies. So I'm gonna go kind of sort of in chronological order. First, shout outs to the people I grew up with: Josh, Jonathan, Gary, Tony. Gary, shout outs to you for making it to college basketball. Not everybody gets a chance to do that. As well as shout outs to you for your new family, your wife, your children. Shout outs to you, Gary. Tony, shout outs to you. I see you doing bodybuilding, getting real strong, real big. Good luck on some of your competitions. Josh, Jonathan, congratulations on y'all's success. I see y'all getting degrees as well. And, the Cubs finally won the World Series. Growing up with Josh and Jonathan, they used to root for the Cubs as well as with their dad, for many years, and they used to just get laughed at and roasted. And over the years, the Cubs finally won. After 100 years, they finally won the World Series. So shout out to Josh and Jonathan for that. Then I got to give a shout out to my G's, Stack G's. These are the people who were part of my financial organization in high school. There weren't too many organizations that helped you acquire wealth. And so we bonded together and we created on our own. So shout outs to KO, Pudge, Lunatic, Frosty, Bear. Shout outs to all of y'all. Shout outs to some of my baseball teammates growing up. So let's first start off with Billy Hamilton. Shout outs to Billy Hamilton. He and I played Little League together from like age 5 all the way up through high school together. He wound up also playing in college just like I played in college. Now, Billy is a white guy that has worked hard his whole life. His dad worked hard. My dad worked hard. They were both coaches for us growing up. But he's a very outspoken Trump supporter and has gotten a lot of flack from our community. He's been accused of being racist and, all these different types of things. And I know Billy from young. I know he's not racist. I know that Billy is Billy, meaning there's some white people he doesn't like. There's some white people he does like. There's some black people he doesn't like. There's some black people he does like. And it's no difference than me. And I think that we have to really delve into why he voted for Trump and why he's such a staunch, Trump supporter. And I think that if we really listen to people like Billy or Billy himself, then we can really get a good understanding of what's really going on, because supporting a political party doesn't automatically make you racist. And I saw a lot of the hateful things that people said to him for supporting Trump. And I just wanted to go on the record to say, hey, Billy Hamilton is not racist. I think he's more of an ally more than anything else. And we should actually listen to him and maybe get a good understanding of where he's coming from. So big shout outs to Billy Hamilton. Also, shout outs to Antoine Davis. We used to play on the freshman team at Carter High School. Man, talk about somebody who had to go through some things. He was defending his mom. Police basically, they said their things and he got into a lot of trouble just for defending his mom. And so I know he's been through a lot. He was always staying true, always stayed down, never folded. And now he's got a family. So shout outs to Antoine Davis. Congratulations on starting your family. Also shout outs to Matt Hudson. So Matt Hudson was one of those guys that never took anything too serious, meaning when we would be on the bus, me, Antoine, we'd be on the freshman baseball bus. Say if we lost a game, the coach would basically make us be quiet and he would try to make us feel ashamed of ourselves. And Hudson was one of those people that would just start bust out laughing out of nowhere just to say, hey, look, it's just a game. There's real life going on out there. And I'm not going to let my attitude and my mood be changed by me losing a game. And so I always remember that growing up, like if I played in college or whatnot, if we lost a game, because of Matt Hudson, I never took none of that stuff too serious because life goes on. So big shout outs to Matt Hudson. I also saw that he was recently on World Star because he has a late night bike riding group where they all ride their bikes at night. And I guess the police had pulled him over to give him a ticket. And when they gave him a ticket, they wrote it and threw it on the floor. And so the video on World Star shows the police officer throwing the ticket on the floor. And this just resonated with me because it brings me back to growing up in Rialto, California. For those that don't know, Rialto, California was the very first city in the entire country to require body cameras because the rates of reports of police brutality were too high. And me personally, I know for a fact that Rialto Police Department has been corrupt because they tried to put drugs on me and arrest me back when I was in high school. So I already know the Rialto Police Department is corrupt. So shout outs to Matt Hudson for not only having that captured, but also not reacting in a way that can get him locked up. So big shout outs to Matt Hudson. Also shout outs to my high school varsity baseball team for my senior year. It was 10 of us that actually got kicked off the team because we had a crazy coach who I believe he was extremely racist, extremely misogynistic. And I think that he had a chip on his shoulder. He would tell players that they'll never make it to the major leagues because they're too short. He doubted that I would ever make it to Division I baseball. And so a lot of our teammates really disliked him. And so as a senior prank, a lot of the teammates didn't show up to practice, but he played favorites. And so one of the players who didn't go to practice, he actually kept on the team because that was his favorite. And the 10 of us all got kicked off. So shout outs to the 10 of us, myself, John Mendevelis, Robert Driggers, Vic Sanders, Kyle Rodman, Danny Bechtel, Derek Mannion, Tito Landazuri. Shout outs to his little brother too, because he wanted to make it to the minor leagues. Larry Chavez, as well as Mike Quiones. So shout outs to my high school senior baseball team. When we all graduated, we all threw up the X when we walked across the podium. So shout outs to all of us. Plus, I'll give a shout out to Joey Nunez, who got cut earlier in the team over some other things that the coach disagreed with, but as teammates, he was a great dude. So shout outs to Joey Nunez as well. After graduating, I then moved to Houston, Texas to go to the Texas Southern University on a full ride academic scholarship, but I also played baseball as a walk-on. And so when I got here, I had a lot of problems when I first moved to Houston because everything is drastically different. California is the most powerful Democratic state. Texas is the most powerful Republican state. And back then, California to me still seemed Republican in the sense that marijuana was still illegal. You still had a whole bunch of police presence. It wasn't the happy-go-lucky California that we hear about today. Back then, it was still really bad. But I had a lot of trouble adjusting from California to Texas. Weather, the people, the everything, just everything in general. Everything is the opposite. And so one of the people that helped me get through that was Matt Minty. Recently, he just had a party. But it was a celebration of the life that he's had. But he's also taking chemo because he's got cancer and he's got a son. So I want to make sure I gave him a shout out because he was one of the people who took me under his wing when I first came to college. So big shout outs to Matt Minty. Then after playing 2 years of baseball, I stopped because my arm got hurt. And I left off campus and I linked up with two people, Gerald Brown and Stephen Marshall. And we became the Three Kings. And while we were Three Kings on campus, we threw lots of parties. We made college really what it is. And more than anything, all three of us wound up graduating. Gerald and Stephen both got their master's degrees. I wound up getting my CPA certification. And they're both teachers now. And I'm over here teaching people around the whole country about cryptocurrency. So shout outs to the Three Kings. All three of us still doing well, helping our communities out. As well as shout outs to Bahir and Tahir. The two of them are Stephen's cousin. And we've been working out relentlessly in the gym because health as well, so we're trying to keep that up. So shout outs to Three Kings, Bahir, and Tahir. Also shout out to my NABA people. I was the president of National Association of Black Accountants. So big shout outs to Dami Iliola. He was the president right before me, as well as shout outs to Paul Njoku. He was the president before Dami. Me and Paul are actually business partners now. He got his CPA right around the same time I got my CPA. We helped study with each other, and now that we're both CPAs, we're helping each other adapt to this new world, independence, and we typically work on different types of things. So I mostly focus on cryptocurrency and things of that nature. He mostly focuses on nurses and the medical field and the SBA grants and loans and things of that nature. And so it's really great to have that two CPA dynamic play back and forth with each other. So big shout outs to Paul Njoku for that. He also came with me to LA. He met with my pops. We all played golf with the Crypto Kids Camp. It was like for a fundraiser. So Paul got to meet with Najah, got to meet my homeboy Darius Harris. Undefeated boxer Darius Harris, as well as Josh from the Black Bitcoin Billionaires. We all got to play around the golf. So that was a really great moment as well. So big shout outs to Paul Njoku. Also shout outs to Dami. He had gotten a job at Chevron, just like Paul had. But he had got a job at Chevron. He was one of the first people that I saw to start really hustling on the side. I know he had bought properties and really started doing his entrepreneur tip. And that brought inspiration for me as I made my journey because I could see it actually being done. I know from a financial perspective, I believe he did way better than I did at first. But, it's all in perspective. So I appreciate the inspiration as well as Dami. Fun story, NAB is called National Association of Black Accountants. He's Nigerian as well as Paul's Nigerian. And so after 2 years of Nigerian presidents, Dami said, hey, this is no longer called NAB, it's called NANA, National Association of Nigerian Accountants, which definitely motivated me to become the president and, get us back on track. So NABA it is, but, shout outs to that inspiration because if he didn't challenge me and say that, I may not have run for president. So shout outs to both Dami and Paul. Also shout out to my homie and professional boxer, Darius Harris. We went to the same elementary school together, linked back up in high school, and I'm just proud to see what he's doing now. He's got his Never Stop Grinding NSG clothing line. He's got his sweat cream. He's got his NSG Impact. And, he's just doing overall real great things in the city of Rialto. So big shout outs to the homie, Darius Harris. Also shout outs to my boy, Keith Falcone out of Dallas, Fort Worth. We worked together at BNSF for a while. I was rooming with him for a while. And he just made sure everything in Dallas, Fort Worth went real copacetic. I wish the best for him. I know he's got his family. He's got kids now. And he's got his house. He's got motorcycles and Jeeps. Like, he's doing big things from my perspective. Hope he realizes the same thing from his perspective. But big shout outs to Keith Falcone, man. Keep doing your thing. Shout outs to my boy Will Tapp. We grew up together in Rialto. And now he is a first responder, paramedic, doing big things, helping people out. Man, you want to talk about somebody who's made a complete life change, man. Shout outs to Will. When he was younger, he used to get in a little trouble. And now he's like a great, outstanding citizen. He has his own independent views on politics and, helping save people's lives from the fire department as well as with, the paramedic expertise. Big shout outs to Will Tapp, man. Very, very proud of you, man. Keep it going. Also, shout outs to my boy, Paul Mckinney. You want to talk about somebody who helped guide me through high school. Man, Paul helped me out a lot. When we was in Rialto, like I said, the police were really bad. There was a lot of craziness out there. And Paul really just directed me towards, hey, we going to go to school. We going to talk to these ladies. We going to stay out of trouble. We going to make sure that we keep a good face. We going to make sure we're staying out of anything illegal. And man, Paul helped me out a lot. He's now in the Navy, him as well as his little sister, doing amazing things. I just spoke with him not too long ago in the VA. So big shout outs to Paul Mckinney, man. I appreciate you, bro. And if I forgot somebody, please don't take it personal. It wasn't intentional. Also shout outs to some of my newer friends, the Black Bitcoin Billionaires. I met a whole bunch of friends in that group, Bitcoin Zay, Justin Redrick. Didn't grow up with them, but as we progress in life, we make new friends. Black Regal, Jakumi Randolph, all the Black Bitcoin Billionaires as well. But also now I want to give shout outs to some of the people who couldn't make it. So remember, this entire episode was in dedication to my friend Jeremie Carpenter. My father used to coach Jeremie as well as myself when we were in Little League. We used to play baseball together. And as we got older, it was very clear that we had very different life paths. He started turning more to drugs. I continued to stay more focused on school and education. However, that doesn't deter our friendship. One of the most amazing times, the things I remember most about Jeremie was when we were just walking down the street and the police started harassing us. They put that big light on us and just asking where we were going, where we were coming from. And I was kind of nervous. I didn't really understand what was going on. And Jeremie stayed cool, calm, collective, talked to the police about it. And they eventually let us go because we didn't do anything wrong. They had said that there were house invaders in the area. And I've never committed any crimes like that. Like, I've never been a robber, never been a thief, nothing like that. So I knew it had nothing to do with me, but he protected me from the police when they were harassing me. So big shout outs to Jeremie Carpenter. Always remember that. Appreciate you, bro. Also, shout outs to the homie Giovanni Jenkins. We weren't super tight, but we were good friends, and he was murdered back in 2016. He talked to one of the girls that everybody in the junior high was trying to talk to, and he wound up getting with her. She was in love, and so it really bothered me to see him get murdered, not just on a personal friend basis, but also through a third friend, which was his girl, because we all went to the same junior high, and it was just devastating to hear the news. So shout outs to Giovanni Jenkins. Also shout outs to Baby Huey. He's the rapper who sang Pop, Lock, and Drop It. That's my homie Paul Mckinney from the Navy. That's his cousin. And so I remember growing up, Paul and Huey went to the studio together. They had some stories together, and just to hear about Huey getting murdered really hurt my heart for Paul. So shout outs to Baby Huey as well as to Paul McKinney. Stay strong, bro. Also shout outs to my cousin Nikki. She's not necessarily a friend or a homie. She's my cousin, but she was murdered when she was working at the post office. And I saw the devastation on my cousins' faces. To this day, they still feel it. You know, my cousin Nikki had kids who were also my cousins. But, you know, that was horrible. And she was just going to work, and somebody went postal. Somebody who actually worked at the post office came in, murdered my cousin as well as somebody else, and then killed herself. And so, you know, when we talk about senseless gun violence or gun violence, period, there's a devastating effect that's lasting in our communities. It doesn't go away. And so I'm always praying for my current cousins that are still here, that they A, stay alive, and then B, they have the mental clarity to still continue to pursue life and pursue their dreams, because something like that, man, it's hard to recover from a lot of times. So shout outs to my cousin Nikki. Rest in peace. Hope you doing good up there in heaven. Love you. This episode, this interlude, shout outs to the homies, was basically just to give love to my people that are still here. I want to make sure that I express my love while we're all still here, because when I talk to my dad, one thing that he says is he's losing a lot of his peers every single day, whether it's through cancer, whether it's through old age or whatnot. And he's only in his 60s, so it really shouldn't be happening. But at the same time, when I look at my age range, I'm in my early 30s, and I see a lot of murders. I do see some cancer. I see lots of stuff happening at my age as well. And so I don't know if the generations really comprehend what the other generations are going through. And so hopefully through this episode, I can show some love to my friends, show love to my family, as well as maybe connect some dots between some of the older generation and the younger generation. I know that when I look around me, they're not always all my friends, but I see a lot of my peers being murdered, and it's been happening very consistently since high school. And in my new group of people that I'm working with in the BBB, a lot of them have similar stories. I know I read Justin Redrick's book, From Bars to Bitcoin, and he talks about one of his friends had been murdered at a house party. And I talk to my cousins, they talk about they know friends that have been murdered at house parties, and I've had friends that were murdered at house parties. So it's just one of these things where the generations are different. It's no longer about black and white to me. It's about good versus evil. It's also about protecting yourself, staying safe, or staying dangerous, whichever one you prefer. And yeah, hope this helped you guys out. Hope the people that were in this got some love. And if I missed anybody, please don't take it personal. I probably just forgot, or it didn't come to my mind when I was creating this. Please don't take it personal. Love you guys all. CJ the Smart Guy. I'm out. Deuce.